All right. So this next topic here, I am going to do a review of the series 60 Days In. Now, I preference review the way that I did in air quotes, and for the audio listeners, I put it in air quotes because this isn't your typical review of a show or a movie. The OG listeners know I used to review movies on here, shows and movies on here all the time. I used to. I won't say all the time, but I used to do it frequently, at least ever so often. I'll put it that way. But I stopped doing that only because I started a blog where I want to review uh mostly movies, or primarily movies, honestly, not the shows that I watch. And Yeah, I've written a few drafts for the stuff that I've been watching or I've watched, but I haven't actually published any of it yet. So once I do so, I'll probably still leave the blog in the description box below, just so y'all, if you do want to go over there, follow it, and be one of the first folks to see a review once I finally publish something on there, then cool. But that's where all the movie reviews are going to go. And there's that. But as far as this, I preference review the way that I did, because this is me just sharing my thoughts on the show's existence in general. But before I do that, I do feel as though I have to name a couple of disclaimers for the people out there that is going to get offended by things that I might say here. If you enjoy this show, I am not judging you at all for enjoying the show. I have my thoughts, and I will not express those thoughts. Everything that I have to say is particularly about the show in general. Okay. Now I've got that out the way, but there are going to be people who take offense to it. There are going to be people who, no matter what I say here, they are going to take it as a personal attack on them. At this point in time, I've already made it clear that I'm not talking about you. I'm not personally attacking you. I am personally attacking those who are involved in the show, whether it be its creators, whether it's be the channel that it's on, which is A&E, whether it be the people who volunteer for this, anyone who is involved in the show. Yes, I will publicly attack y'all for this show being a thing. Simple as that. Again, I'm not going to share my thoughts on those who watch the show. It is what it is at this point. It's like I've understood at this point in time in my life that um not only am I different in many other ways, but I'm different in the sense of how I view things. Some of y'all might not view this show the same way that I do. I don't care. And I'm not saying that to be an asshole. I'm saying that in the sense that I'm not going to change my view because my viewpoint of this show being a thing might not be the popular opinion of this show. I don't care. If you've been following me long enough, or if you just know me personally, you should know that I don't care about being the popular opinion. I just want to get my thoughts out there. Anyways, for those who don't know what 60 Days In, A&E describes it as innocent volunteers go undercover in jails across the country to expose flaws and invoke change. And then they tell you where to watch A&E, what time, and all that stuff. I'm not their promoter, so I'm not going to read that, but that's something you can do on your own if you want to see the show for yourself. As far as just why I feel as though this show does not fit the description, well, it was introduced to me. I'm not going to name names, but it was introduced to me. The show was introduced to me by someone who watches the show. And what they said was how they described it as is it's a show about people who go into these prisons and they pretty much see if they can survive in 60 days. And that sounds like a game show. It sounds like a game show. A&E is more so of a reality TV type of channel, or at least I believe they have like a mixture of reality TV and probably scripted series All I know is when I was watching A&E or when I was aware of A&E, it was more so again reality stuff that may have been scripted as well, but it was on the realm of reality TV, not like actual series and stuff. But I could be wrong. All right, don't get caught up in old semantics and stuff. I already know people gonna like you're already doing right now with the Caitlin Clark video that I did and just a bunch of other videos I've done in the past. People, when they can't argue against your points, they start arguing about some dumb stuff, about the semantics about stuff. I misspoke here and whatever there. And it's like, does it take away from the point that I made? It doesn't. Does it add to the conversation that I want to have? It doesn't. But go ahead and keep doing that because it gets the numbers up and it adds to the algorithm in a good way. So, yeah, and keep doing that. Anyways, as far as why I disagree with A&E's definition of this show is obviously they have to paint it in a more positive light. Now, this is not me being a negative Nancy. I tried to see if there was I briefly tried to see if there was a point to even this show in general. And I couldn't come up with a reason or a positive point. Let me put it that way, because there is a point. The point is to exploit prisoners and to exploit that lifestyle and that ecosystem even more. And the show apparently has been going on for a couple years now. It's on its what, sixth season, or it's almost like I think it's almost at like approaching 10 seasons. That's 10 years, almost not nearly 10 years of this show being on. So nearly 10 years of these poor prisoners, unfortunately, being exploited even more. And when I say the prisoners, I mean the actual individuals who are in prison. Because again, this is supposed to be a reality show of individuals who, yeah, I believe they say there's about like 25 contestants or so, but there's 25 people who volunteered to pretty much be prisoners for 60 days, 2 months. They volunteer for that, and just to see if they can do it, right? A&E points it out as volunteers. When I was talking to the individual about the show, who watches it, they were saying they described it as the way they described it. I should just say they didn't say these words, but the way they described it as it sounded like a game show / reality show. Like if you could survive the 60 days, you'll get $60,000 or so, or whatever the case is, right? They didn't put a number on it, but again, it sounded like some game show type stuff where it's like, if you could survive 60 days in prison, and survive simply just means if you can last. It's not meaning like, can you survive? Can you fight every single day that you're in prison for those 60 days and then win every single fight? No, it was, can you last 60 days in prison? I'm going to just use that word. If you can last 60 days in prison, you'll get some monetary prize. But that doesn't seem to be the case. But even if it was that the case, I wouldn't be for this. I'm still not for this show existing in general. And I said this to this individual, and I'm going to say it here. I don't care what type of repercussions I get. If this comment hurts folks, or if this comment is deemed more harmful than the actual show, we've got a problem here. We've got a problem. The problem isn't me. The problem is how society is. I said that this show should not exist. And the cynical me kind of wants somebody to go in, somebody being a volunteer, to go in and get killed, because I think that's the only way this show is going to get canceled. Because there have been people who've been hurt, I think. I don't know. In 25, I might be pulling that. It was 25 punches supposedly someone got received before they ended up being concussed, not 25 contestants. Nonetheless, because all you semantic hoes out there going, it's not 25 contestants, add to the conversation or continue doing that dumb shit and keep boosting up the algorithm. You're helping me out. You're not making me look stupid. You're making yourself look dumb. All right. Anyways, 25, someone, one of the recent episodes or so, or maybe so, someone took 25 blows to the face before they got concussed, essentially. But they're not dead. They just ended up getting hurt, obviously. Now, concussions are bad, of course. They're not death, but they're definitely not good. You know what I'm saying? And taking 25 punches to the head, I don't care if it was 25 punches to the chest, to the back, to your toe, your pinky. Nobody, like, that's not something good to happen. But clearly, these things are not enough for the showrunners to say, hey, guess what? I think we should cancel the show. Or people who are involved in the show to say we should cancel it. Or for A&E to say we can't have this type of garbage on our network. It's not enough. Somebody has to die, I think, for them to say, yo, okay, prison is serious. Oh my God, this is, and it's, again, I don't like it because of the exploitation that is blatantly happening on our faces. Our faces, meaning those. I don't know if this is a show that airs overseas, but our faces, meaning America. Knowing how mucked up our prison industrial complex is in the first place. I don't, and I'm this is the only time I'm going to reference the people who watch this. I again, not ish talking y'all, more so ish talking the show and those who are involved in the creation and the existence of this show in the first place. But I am going to ask this question. How are you able to watch this show and still, if you are aware of how prison is in America, especially if you've been one who was vocally against the prison industrial complex here in America, how can you then watch the show? Now, that's more so of a question that I want you to answer to yourself. You don't have to comment on YouTube. You don't have to send in a voice message. You don't have to send me a message on Instagram. You can do so if you want to. And even if you don't want me to read that message, especially if it is a voice message or an Instagram message, just let it be known that I don't want you to reveal this, but I watched the show because of this reason. It just might be entertaining to some folk. You know what I'm saying? And it could be as simple as that. But I really just want you to ponder on that for yourself. Again, not talking ish about y'all. I'm not judging y'all out loud. I'm not going to say the comments that I have. I'm not going to say I don't have comments, but I'm not going to say them here. And don't wrap your brain around trying to wonder what I'm thinking, because you're going to just cause a rift. You're going to ruin your whole day. You got better things to do throughout your day to worry about what little old me, who's on a fake beach, got to say about you or say about your fandom of this show. You could spend that time watching the show, but also taking into consideration if there's something that I'm saying here, whether it was something that was verbatimly, yeah, I'm gonna keep saying it, verbatimly addressing you or addressing those involved in the show or just about the show in general. Instead of getting upset with me, instead of getting upset with anybody else who may question you, how about you look and actually ponder as to why are you upset with the question? Why are you upset? Because not everyone's going to be as nice as me. Some people might not reserve their judgment of you. I can tell you, if this was even 5, 10 years ago, I would have went full ballistic on y'all. I've been doing this podcast for 7 years. If it was just 6 years ago, I would have been went full ballistic on y'all and judged the hell out of y'all publicly and A&E and again everybody involved in the show. But I've grown over that time and I've understood that not everything has to be said, not even if you do own a podcast called the Earnest Thoughts Podcast. Not everything has to be said. You know what I'm saying? So I get that fully. But I do feel as though the more important thing, and that's also the bigger reason as to why, honestly, I'm not talking about, I'm not going to be judging the folk who watch this show. is because I think the bigger issue here is the show that it's the fact that the show exists in the first place. Now it's been running because of the viewers and stuff, so there is an audience for it, and there's people talking about it, of course. But that's like the drug dealers saying some dumb shit like, "Well, it's the customer's fault as to why I'm selling drugs." No, nobody said, "Hey man, sell drugs." Hey man, nobody was coming up to you every single day and say, "Sell drugs, sell sell this harmful thing that's harming your community." Now, should customers of anything, drugs, shows, podcasts, whatever, are they personally responsible for the decisions that they make in regards to their consumption of the things that they consume? Absolutely. But are they 100% of the blame for why the thing is being sold in the first place? No, that is the individual who is selling the product. It's not drug dealers who are making drug. It's not drug addicts who are making the drugs and then getting high on their own supply. Those are the individuals who are the fault of the consumption and the production. But if you are solely just a producer of whatever garbage you're producing, you can't blame your audience for consuming it. Because at any point in time, you can say, I'm going to stop consuming it. If you claim to have this conscience of, I know it's the wrong thing to do, but no, there is no but. There is no but. You need to move your butt and stop doing the thing if you know it's the wrong thing to do. If you truly feel as though you're doing something wrong, it don't matter how many people are consuming it. Because unfortunately, the way that we are here in America, they're going to get it from someone else anyway. And your whole idea is, well, someone else is going to get that bag, and I don't want them to get the bag that I'm already getting right now, which means you already put money over your own moral integrity. You claim to have this moral integrity of, I know this is wrong, but if I don't do it, someone else is going to do it and someone else is going to get the money. Well, you just blatantly said that the money is more important than the supposed morals that you claim to have. And that's for you to ponder on. I'm not even going to go further than that. That's for you to ponder on. But as far as this show goes, absolutely, I would not watch this show. Sorry if y'all came here, y'all was fooled by the title. And you thought I put the word review in quotation marks wherever this is going to be posted as well. But I'm sorry if you were fooled by the title and you thought you was going to get a full-fledged review of the series or the last season of the show, whatever the case may be. No, that's not what's going on here. It's going to be me being super preachy and you not liking it, or you maybe seeing the light of the day. Who knows? But it's me saying, hey, this show is terrible because it's exploiting prisoners. It's exploiting prison life. You got these people who are straight up lying as to why they're going on the show in the first place. I believe they're lies. Again, the person I had a conversation with, they said there was someone who volunteered to be on the side of the prisoners, because there was one person who is actually a prison CEO, and then they wanted to see how it was to actually be a prisoner from the perspective of a prisoner. To me, it sounds like everybody's lie sounds like I just wanted some attention, more exposure. I wanted some TV exposure so I could possibly be famous, because I don't want to be this CEO making nearly maybe 60,000 a year or so, 65,000 a year. So I want to go and be a TV sensation and possibly be famous. Then there was this other person who was supposedly studying law to be a lawyer, a criminal lawyer, and volunteered to be on the show so she can, again, see how it's like to be a prisoner. To me, what I heard was, I'm a criminal lawyer and I have all this student loan debt, and I want the chance to possibly be famous for getting on the show so I can pay off this student loan debt and be famous and not have to be a lawyer. Then there was someone else who volunteered because he was pretty much a quote unquote nobody, in his regular life, and then he joined the show, became a gang leader in one of the prisons, and is actually a real prisoner now because he feels more fulfillment in being a thug than he was being a regular individual. That within itself, it's pretty self-explanatory. He let it be known, like, he unfortunately was an individual who was, or felt like he had no purpose in life, that he was again a nobody, and thought that the attention that he got in prison, the thug life that he got in prison, that ultimately took his freedom away, but he still feels as though he is at least a somebody in the prison that he's in right now. And being a somebody in prison is better than being a nobody who's a free man outside of prison to him. These are sad excuses. These are sad examples, people. And again, I'm not judging folk out loud. You know what I'm saying? As to why you might consume this stuff. But yeah, if you come to me talking about this show or anything similar to it, and you think my perception is going to be positive, you either really don't know who I am, or yeah, that's it. You really don't know who I am. I think people should know by now, should understand what is and isn't my taste. Granted, I used to like trash reality TV. I was a big Flavor of Love fan. I Love New York as well. All those other spin-off shows that came from it that everybody else who was a part of those casts ended up getting. Chance and Real, they had their show. Monique had that charm school with the girls from Flavor of Love. Um, you know, all that. I was a consumer of all of that. First of all, that stuff was nearly not as trashy as what this show sounds like. That's number one. Number two, um, I've grown out of that. Like, when I speak about that stuff now, it's, yeah, because it's nostalgia, and nostalgia is always going to bring me back to a time where I used to consume stuff, even stuff that I wouldn't consume now. I'm still always going to nostalgia trip about it. But and that might be the same for folks when if the show were to ever go off air. Because again, like I said, it's been going on nearly 10 years. You know, if it's on its sixth season, that means in 4 more years, it's going to be a decade of the show being a thing. That's horrifying to me. The fact that it's even lasted as long as it has is a horrible thing to me. But man, yeah, that's my review of 60 Days In. Again, you came here looking for an actual review. I don't know what to tell you, Jack. Well, I do know what to tell you. You've been bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray. You know what I'm saying? But at least I ain't take your money like Black Lives Matter. So, yeah. Anyways, we'll get on to the last topic. Stay tuned.